Okay, students, I want to talk about structures first. Um, with structures, we want to consider the differences between structures and between classes. So I'm going to talk about structures first. Now, you could put a structure inside. I have it commented out here, but you notice that we have a structure and it's called scombine, and I have this showing here, but instead of having scombine come from this, I have it coming from over here in a file, and this one is called scombine1, and it's right here. And so this is the structure combine 1, and you can see that here, structure combine 1. And it has its variables and all of this stuff necessary to carry out the combining of the letters. Okay, so if you go to the form, then right here, and you run it, you have this capability then of XXX or whatever, and then the other thing that I typically check with is 000 because it stands out, and I then click combine, bring this a little bit more to the center of the screen, click combine, and you can see XOXOXO. However, there is a problem with this particular version of the program, and that is that if I type in, say, 5 X's and 3 O's, there's an uneven number, and if you click it, then you have a program with an error, and the error is exception user unhandled, and basically it's index out of range. Okay, so we have to cancel the program, and I'm hitting the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. I have to cancel the program and change the code. Now, the code for changing it's really kind of unimportant, but just so you know, I have the code here. You can look at it and decide later, but basically it checks to see if the lengths are less than one or the other, and if it does happen to be less, it skips it. If it's one of them's longer than the other, it skips the one that's shorter and then continues to do the longer one. Okay, so we go back to the form. Again, this one is scombine2 as the example, and so I can change this to scombine2, and this will work if I go with 5 X's and then 3 O's, and then click combine. It'll just do the XOXOXO, and then there's a couple of extra leftover X's that it simply adds on to the end. And also, this works if the reverse is true, where and it doesn't have to be the X's, just so you know. You can see that it still does it from this direction. Okay, so I could combine. Okay, so it does work either direction, and you can look at that code on your own, but the point is that In order to do that, we had to create two separate structures over here, combine 1 and combine 2, which means changing it in this particular portion of the program. And ideally, if we're going to do this, we want to make it modular, but also modular enough that we never have to change this particular portion of the program. Okay, so we'll talk more about all of this over here in a minute. Most of this doesn't apply to structures, just those two, combine 1, S combine 1 and S combine 2. But I want to show you why we want to modularize this. This right here is, we open up the file, the structure here, and then the only thing we have over here is the input. We drag the input from the two text boxes, and then we output to the third text box. And that's all that's here. That's because in this modularity, we have this capability. Now, what is this capability that I'm talking about? The capability that I'm talking about, let me start this up again, is that we could use this in WFA, but we can also use this in a console application. Okay, oops, I think I hit the wrong one. We can also use this in a console application, and in the console application, you can see here that we have to open up the structure from the file. Okay, as combine 1 here is opened, and then we can just use console write line, write your first input, and then read it, enter your second input, and then read it, and then down here it says write line, the combined letters are. Okay, so this is just an input section, the output section, it's the same exact thing. This S combine 1, okay, it will do the same thing, but keep in mind S combine 1 is going to have one of the same problems as the other S combine 1. So XXX, press enter, O, press enter, and you can see here that we still have the XOXOXO, but if we do this again, and if we type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say for instance, or 6, and then type in a lesser number of second inputs, we get index out of range again. And so that creates a problem. In fact, it's creating a bigger problem here because there, finally goes away. So then we have to, again, we have to go here, change this, and then we can, whoops, I hit the wrong thing. Change this so that we run this again, and then of course if we do this, it works just fine. We get the extra X's over here, but otherwise it's not a big deal. Okay, and the modularity aspect of it comes in here. We have these things already written over here. S combine 1, S combine 2, they're already written. I wrote them in WFA, but you'll notice they also work just fine in the console. I didn't have to rewrite them for the console. They just work. Okay? The only things that apply here, see, are In scombine1, you have to make sure that you have these variables that we can store in. And in scombine2, there's a couple additional variables that I set up for lengths. Now, I didn't have to do it that way, but I was trying to make sure things were clear. Okay, so that's the main thing I wanted to get the point across about, was that once I write a structure in a separate file, I don't have to concern myself with what platform I'm using it on. I can use it on Windows Forms. I can use it on console. I can use it on the Linux platform. I could use it on Mac OS. This part is not unique. Okay? The thing that's unique is the input-output on various different formats. It's different when you're talking about WFA. It's different when you're talking about a console. It's different no matter what platform you're talking about. Okay, so that's what I want you to understand. We want to make pieces that we can reuse. Okay, modules that we can reuse. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for structures.